Question of the realization of economic, social and cultural rights with particular focus on the report of Special Rapporteur on the question of the impunity of perpetrators of violations of human rights, economic, social and cultural rights. Mr. Al-Haji Gise, E/CN4/sub2/1997/8. The non-governmental organization, the International Islamic Federation of Students Organizations, has wished to associate itself with this statement. At the outset, I would compliment Mr. Gise on his excellent report in a rather neglected field. We have found the report to be comprehensive, well-reasoned, and unequivocal. It is a definite addition to the repository of work on the subject and will serve as a useful guide for others following on his footsteps. The sub-commission deserves appreciation for commissioning this study. Madam Chairperson, while Mr. Gise's report is comprehensive, we believe that there are some areas in it which could have been given more attention. One, there could be, for instance, have been a chapter on the question of continuing practices of colonization of foreign occupation. The process of decolonization is not complete, and not all people entitled to it have yet attained their right of self-determination. There still are peoples under colonization, foreign occupation and alien domination. Palestine and Kashmir are two illustrations of this point. Two, a clear link could have been created between the fact that usually deprivation of violation of economic, social and cultural rights involves acts that are in themselves violations of civil and political rights. For instance, foreign occupation first and foremost has a bearing on civil and political rights, such as the right to self-determination and all other rights in the international covenant on civil and political rights. However, foreign occupation also results in the violation of economic, social and cultural rights. Witness the consequences of restrictions by the Israeli authorities on freedom of movement of Palestinians, having a direct impact on freedom of employment of the Palestinian population, or the deleterious economic consequences of week-long curfew by the Indian occupation forces in Kashmir. We entirely agree with Mr. Gise that, I quote, if a state tolerates in its territory or in the territory that it is occupying by force the commission of acts by individuals which constitute violations, it bears the responsibility and must prevent their impunity. I unquote. However, here too we feel the concept could have been extended further. We all know that there are states which in the territories occupied by them deliberately violate the rights of the occupied people, either to punish them or to keep them in perpetual bondage. In such case, while violations in the ultimate analysis are committed by individuals, it should be kept in mind that these individuals are carrying out the considered policies of the occupying power. How could these occupying powers then prevent impunity? This is a question the special rapporteur could have explored more. We thank Mr. Gise for indirectly highlighting a very important concept in para 9 of his report, when he states, I quote, the ideal of free human beings enjoying freedom from fear and want can only be achieved if conditions are created whereby everyone may enjoy his economic, social and cultural rights as well as his civil and political rights. It has been a time-honored tradition of occupying powers to try to emphasize the right to life as the first and foremost right. Their intention is to state that even one is under foreign occupation and alien domination, one should be thankful for being allowed to live. An armed struggle to reclaim one's right to self-determination, for example, jeopardizes the right to life and is therefore a violation of the right to life. Mr. Ghise's observation quoted above gives the lie to this reasoning. Just as health does not mean mere absence of diseases, the right to life is meaningless without the accompanying right of self-determination and other fundamental civil, political, economical, social and cultural rights. A person who is subjected to torture of the worst kind cannot be considered to be in possession of his right to life. In the context of rights mentioned under Section B of the report entitled Violations of Individual Economic, Social, Cultural Rights, Mr. Ghise has addressed the issues of the violations of the right to work, the right to health, the right to educate, housing, the right to food and the right to education. We note that the Special Rapporteur has stated that this list is not exhaustive. We, however, believe that all of these rights are also collective rights, particularly the right to education. I shall devote the rest of my statement on this particular aspect and would be venturing to be asked some questions from the Special Rapporteur. He has, while addressing this issue, mostly focused on the consequences of lack of adequate resources being directed towards education. There is, however, another dimension to this problem. This is when a population under foreign occupation is deliberately deprived of education as a punishment for espousing its fundamental rights. Such violations could take the following manifestations. 1. If schools, colleges and universities are deliberately closed down as punitive measures. 2. If curricula of the occupying power are imposed against the will of the occupied population. 3. If a different version of the history is presented in the text. 4. What if the price of education is learning the language of the occupying power